So can see okay, so we are discussing about installation types. So we completed this one. So we completed this GUI method. So means we installed Postgres database on Windows platform. So that was done. So we are discussing this is the in progress state. Okay, so let's see. So these three methods will be applicable Linux platform. So this is method will be applicable only Windows platform. So if you want to install Postgres, so on Linux, you have to choose any one of the method, either source code method or M method or RPM installation. So we'll say source code method. So once it's done, we'll go for M method. So then we'll go for RPM method. So for any method in Linux platform, there are prerequisites are there for any method. So if you want to install Postgres database on Linux platform, so there are some prerequisites are there. Those prerequisites we have to verify before proceeding the installation. Before proceeding the installation, you have to verify the prerequisites. So what are the prerequisites? You can say these are the prerequisites. RPM-QA GCC. Make sure the GCC, it's a compiler. The compiler should be installed. One, this compiler should be the compiler version should be 3.80 or above. So these are the mandatory prerequisites. How to check? GCC is one of the compiler. So whether it is installed or not, you can verify using RPM space -QA space GCC. Means, is there any RPM file which was installed starting with the GCC? It will display. If no rows means, that means GCC compiler doesn't install on the Linux box. So if doesn't install, we have to contact with the Linux team. They have to install GCC compiler. This is the by default when we install any Linux operating system, by default it was installed. Suppose it did not install, we have to contact with the Linux team. So if we install the compiler, what is the compiler version? How to check the compiler version? Just make -, version. It should be 3.80 or above. It should be 3.80 or above. 3.80 or above. The compiler version. So what is the use of this compiler? Why we require this compiler for Postgres installation? So basically the Postgres who developed this Postgres database, Mitchell Stonebreaker. With the help of team, they developed initially Ingress database. Later, they changed the Postgres database. The name is later they changed the name is Postgres. So they developed based on C language. Postgres developed based on C language. So how to execute C language statements? We need a compiler. There we required compiler. To execute any C language statements, we required compiler. So what the compiler name is GCC. So first we have to convert. What it will do? You can say Postgres developed based on C language for executing C language statements. We need a compiler that is for GCC. So directly we cannot install Postgres database. When you download the software code, the Postgres database software code, they developed based on C language. We are saying Postgres is a RDBMS product. If it is a RDBMS product, they should support SQL language. For converting from C language to SQL language. Who convert? Compiler. Compiler is going to convert from C language to SQL language. Once converted everything from C language to SQL language, who can install Postgres software in Linux box? Without converting, we cannot install. It's going to fail because if it is a RDBMS product, it should support SQL language, not C language. Every RDBMS product, it support SQL language, not C language. So You have to convert all existing code from C language to SQL language by using compiler. Once compiler converted everything from C language to SQL, then we can start the installation. For that purpose, we require compiler. How to check the compiler install or not? rpm-qs gcc. By using this command, we can verify. So, how to check the compiler version? To check the compiler version. Compiler version. It should be 3.80 or above. It should be 3.80 or above. So these are the mandatory prerequisites. If you go any Linux environment, you have to verify these prerequisites. What are the optional prerequisites? You can see here. rpm-qa read line. So zlib, these two are the optional prerequisites. Means if we have these two, well and good. If you don't have, yes, you can go and install. But without these two, without this compiler and a compiler version, we cannot install Postgres database on Linux platform. That is the mandatory. So how to verify this? Optional. There is a read line RPM is there. This is OS Linux operating system. All are packages form of RPM files. So this is one RPM. So this RPM started with read line. So you can verify rpm-qa read line whether it is installed or not. Yes, if it is installed, it gives the read line RPM file name. If did not install, here we did not get anything. So zlib. So what is the use of zlib? We can take the database backup in compress mode. Compress mode. So what is the use of this read line? Suppose this is the Postgres database prompt. Suppose I execute one table, create table, table name emp, id integer. Yes. So can say, so when you give page up, it gives the last executed SQL statement if we install a read line. If you don't if you did not install this read line RPM, so when you give page up, it did not give the any previous statement because the type of functionality it will support a read line, page up, page down. When you page up, it gives the last latest what SQL statement executed in the database. That statement it gives one by one it gives. So that type of functionality it will support read line. zlib you can take the database backup in compress mode. These are the optional prerequisites. These are the mandatory prerequisites. Any queries? In the prerequisites part, any queries? Let me know. Fourth one, zlib. These are the prerequisites. We have to verify 4 out of 4. These two are the mandatory. These two are the optional. So once verified prerequisites, yes, if all prerequisites installed successfully, then we can start the installation. So for installation for Linux in Linux environment, so for anywhere to install the Postgres, we need a home location, we need a data directory. The home location default it's going to create. We don't bother about home location. So in case of source code method, what is the Postgres home location? This is the fixed Postgres home location, default home location. It takes automatically. It takes this location under, it's going to install the software inside the home location. If you done Postgres via source code. Well, you can use any data directory. This is the data directory I'm going to use because we are going to install Postgres 15 version. So by seeing this data directory, people can understand this is the which was installed Postgres 15. If you install 14, data 14. If you install 13, data 13. Like that, that is the general standards we can maintain. So this data directory who created in real time Linux team, they have to create and they change the ownership and they hand out to DBA team. So we create a data directory, we create the one user. So once done they have to hand out to DBA team. Please keep on. So this data directory, what is the purpose of data directory? You can keep the data files and the configuration files. Once you install, you can get the default port number, default user Postgres. Yes, three database got created default. Out of three, which one is the default database? Postgres. So once done, how to connect the database? The same thing, command line mode and GA mode. Okay, so in Linux, how to start the installation? What are the steps we have to follow? In Windows, it's very easy. Just download the setup file, click on next. It's going to, it will ask the installation directory, data directory. By default, it takes the default location, default data directory. If you don't want to continue with the default location, yes, we can give the or customized location. But in Linux, there are different approach we have to follow. So for first, we have to download the software. Yes, we have to download the software. We have to untar the software. Next, install the Postgres software. For installing the software, what are the steps we have to follow? Whatever the you untar here, go to untar directory, then configure, make install. These three steps only, installing the software only. Only install the software. You can say install software, next create cluster, next start the cluster services, next connect DB. These are the high level steps. So for installing the software, what are the steps we have to follow? We have to download the software and enter the software directory. Then go to the entire directory. We have to follow these three steps for installing the software only, binaries only. Configure. What it will do when you do configure? It's going to verify the all the prerequisites existing or not. If any prerequisites are missed, it throws the error. And also, when you give // configure, by default, it's going to install the Postgres default location. Make, it's going to convert existing code from C language to SQL language. In this step, compiler going to convert from C language to SQL language. Make install, going to install default location. So these are the steps we have to perform for installing Postgres software in Linux, any Linux environment. Once done the installation, we have to verify the installation part. How to go to the default location? There we can see what are the folders here. You can say bin folder is there, and lib folder is there, share folder is there. These three folders we have to see inside the home location. That is the verify the installation part. Once installation is succeeded, then we have to create the cluster. How to create the cluster means like instance. Create the instance. Create the cluster or instance. Both are same. How to create the cluster? To create the cluster, we require one user. Yes. For any database, we have to create the database with one specific user, not a root user. But this installation will be done by root user only. When you create the cluster, you have to use one specific user. So I have to use Postgres user. The username is Postgres. We need a data directory to keep the data files and the configuration files. So how to add the user in Linux? User add command for adding the username means this Postgres user going to add. I need this location to create a directory. How to create the directory? Same mkdir, create the directory, change the ownership. Once this user and the data directory is available, then I can create the cluster. We have to switch to Postgres user. Then there is a initdb utility. How to create the cluster? Initdb utility. We can use initdb utility to create the cluster. To create the cluster, we are using initdb utility. So how to start the cluster here? pg_ctl. How to connect the database? PSPL. These are the three utilities which we can use for creating new cluster. We are using initdb utility. For starting the cluster, we are using pg_ctl. For connecting the DB, we are using PSPL. If it is Windows, for starting, we are using services file. Create cluster, it's automatically created. When you click on next. How to connect the DB? PSPL, same. So Go to the initdb, full path of initdb, -d. For this cluster, I am going to use this data location, data directory to keep my data files and the configuration files. So you have to, after switch Postgres user, you have to fire this command. It's going to initialize the cluster. Initdb means initialize the DB, creating the cluster, creating the instance. Once creation of cluster is done, then we can start the cluster. How to start the cluster? pgctl. Then connect the DB. How to connect the DB? PSQL. Okay. Any queries as of now? So let's go and verify the steps.
Uh,
Let me start. Yes, go ahead.
just one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Uh,
Can you
what
speak
is
loudly?
yeah?
Yeah.
What is the cluster if I ask in respect to the MSQL? What is the cluster over here?
Yeah, yeah. Will. Yeah. You can see here. So this is my okay. This is my Windows Mission laptop. Inside that we installed one application, Oracle VirtualBox,
Yeah.
Oracle VirtualBox, Oracle VirtualBox, VirtualBox Manager. Okay. Inside that we created a one VM. This is my VM. Okay. So on top of this VM, we installed a Oracle Linux. Oracle Linux, Oracle Linux 7.9 version, Oracle Linux 7.9 version. Yes. Now, just now started this mission. Just now started this mission, which was installed Oracle Linux. Yes, it started. Let me connect root user Oracle. Now, I connected to my mission. Okay, I connected to this. This is the mission, my mission, which was installed Oracle Linux 7.9. So just now I connected this mission. So this is only installed operating system only 7.9, not 7.7. So this is for 7.9, 7.9, 7.9. Okay. So let me verify. Let me connect how to, where we can give the commands. Open terminal. Here give the commands to get the IP address. If config we have to use. So let me connect remotely. How to connect remotely this VM? What is the tools we can use? Remote connection. Putty. WinSCP for file transfer. So let me give the IP address. Let me establish the connection to this server remotely. 192.168.0.161. Okay. So root Oracle. Yes. Let me increase the font size. Change settings. Appearance. Change. 14. Yes. Okay. So now you can say, now I need to verify which operating system installed on this server. I don't know. This is done by Linux admin. How to know? To get the OS version cat/etc OS release. There is a file is there OS-release. This file is inside /etc directory. To see any file data, we can use cat command. Cat is the command. We can read the file data. Which file? This is the file where it was located under /etc. So which version install? You can see here in this file it mentioned Oracle Linux 7.9. By seeing this command, we came to know Oracle Linux installed, that is version is 7.9. Okay, so we are good. So how to check the prerequisites? RPM-QA GCC. You can say compiler installed. We are good. So what is the compiler version? Make-version to get the compiler version. It could be 3.80 or above. It should not lower than 3.80. We are good in the mandatory prerequisite part. Okay. So let me clear. Yes, you can say what are the optional prerequisites? RPM-QA read line. Yes, read line also installed. Let me verify zlib. Zlib. Can say yes, all the prerequisites good. Now we can start the installation part. Let me define Okay, we'll explain it. Okay, cluster. So we'll just start the installation. So it takes some time. That time I will explain. Don't worry. Now you can see. Okay, just we verified the prerequisite. Just follow this document whenever you start the installation. So yes, I done prerequisites. Next, we have to download the software. How to download the software? So you have to visit the website postgresql.org. Yes, click on download. This is the website. Linux, where you want to install this Postgres database. Linux, Red Hat or Rocky, OEL for anything. Red Hat selected. So you can say which method we are followed. Source code method. Click on source. Click on source. These are the for source code method. These are the softwares. Which version we are going to install? Suppose 15.10. Click on 15.10. So this is the software file we have to download. What is the software file is 29 MB only. What is the file size? It's 29 MB. So it's a tar.gz file. Let me how to download. Just click on it. Download into local system. If you don't have internet connection on the server, so you can download into local system via WinSCP. We can transfer the file. Yesterday we did some file transfer. Or else if you have internet connection on the Linux server, you can download here directly using wget command. For that, we need a link, copy link address. Which link address? This file. Right click on the file, copy link address. Link is copied. Here, using wget command, we can paste the link. It's going to connect into this website, downloading this file. If you have internet connection, then only you can do that using wget command. If you don't have internet connection on this file, on this server, you have to download into local system, then copy the file via WinSCP. Clear? LL. Yes, the file got downloaded. You can say this is our software file. 15.10 only this is the tar.gz file. We have to enter the next once download. Once download, what are the high level steps you can say? Once download, install the Postgres, untar it. You can download and untar it. How to untar? tar minus xvf file name. How to untar the file? Tar minus x means extract. Extract the file. We are untar the file. Can say when you untar, it's created one more directory with the same name 15.10. Everything is copied inside this directory. Go to untar directory. Go to untar directory. We are in the untar directory. Yes or no? Now we have to start the installation. What are the steps? Configure, make, install. What it will do configure? It's going to verify the steps. Make, install. Let me do /configure. Configure. It's going to checking the all the prerequisites part. So this is the okay. So it's a trial operating system. So that's why even though if you have read line, so it doesn't recognize. So in that case, you have to keep. I am saying okay, we don't have without a read line, you can go and install. Can say now it's saying without a zlib. So now we are saying to please go and configure the please go and check consider these two are doesn't install in the system, but in real time you did not get this error. This is the trial version. So even though if you have readline zlib, it's saying it doesn't found that. So now it's going to checking yes without any error. It's complete this step. Let's see. Yes, we don't have any errors. Configure without readline without zlib means it successfully configured, successfully verified. Yes, now next make command. Next command make command. Next make command. So make is the command is going to convert from everything is from C language to SQL language. From C language to SQL language. Let me do make. Make. It's going to converting from C language to SQL language. It takes time, maybe less than 3 minutes, 4 minutes. The meanwhile, we'll discuss what is the cluster. So here, the red color is the VM. I connected Linux server. Here, I want to install Postgres database. Now, it's the installation is going on. So for installation, we used some location. What was the location? Suppose I used this is the location. If you follow source code method, it default takes the default location user local PC is equal. This is the default Postgres home location. If you want to change, we can change later. We'll change. Okay. So what other directory we required? Data directory. You can use any location. User 1, data 15. This is for data directory. What is the purpose of this? To keep my data files and the configuration files. Okay. So now, what is the meaning of once installation is done? We have to create a cluster. How to create a cluster? For creating cluster, we require one user. We require one user. One user, that is, you can use any user. By default, it takes Postgres user. We need a one data directory. So we have to, the data directory is available. If not, we have to create it. In real time, Linux team, they have to create, they have to hand over to DBA team. So yes, we have to create the data directory. We have to create the user. Once these two is available, you can create the cluster. Cluster means you can say this is the cluster. Suppose if you create a cluster, yes, this is the we called as a it's a cluster. Every cluster it's required one data directory. So what is your data? What is this cluster data directory? User one data 15. It's required one data directory. Every cluster it's listening one port number, that is default port number 5432. When you create a cluster, it's created three databases by default: Postgres, template 0, template 1. Every cluster, when you create a cluster, it creates three databases. Each cluster, it's required one port number. When you create a cluster, it's created with the default port number 5432. If you want to change, we can change later. Every cluster is required one data directory. For all these three databases, data files, it keep inside this location. Okay. So cluster means it's like an instance, one instance. If you want to create your own database, yes, you have to connect this instance first. Out of three database, what is the default database? This is the default database. When you give PSQL, default connected to Postgres, you can create your own database. Means if you want to create something in database, the instance should be up and running. The cluster should be up and running. Cluster means it's combination of databases, not combination of servers. In Oracle, cluster is different. Here, Postgres cluster is different. Cluster means it's a combination of databases. By default, three databases created inside the cluster. If you want to create the one more database, you have to connect to this instance. You can create the database. Like this, you can create n number of clusters. Suppose I can create another cluster. Yes. For this cluster also we required data directory. What is our data directory for this? We cannot use same data directory. Data 15 underscore 1. Some different. You have to use some different. So what is the port number? It created this second cluster also with the default port number 5432. But when you are starting this second cluster, it doesn't started. Why? The first cluster already running with 5432. We cannot start the cluster more than one cluster if it is using same port. So here I can change the port 5433 32 to some other port number. To start the cluster, it's required separate port number, the unique port number. The port which we are using, this should not use any other cluster. So like this, we can create n number of clusters based on the system configuration. Clear? Any queries on this? So you can see the make command is completed. It's converted everything C language to SQL language. Now make install. Make install. It's going to install the default location, that is /usr local pc equal. Now the installation is complete. How to verify the installation part? Go to the home location /usr local pc equal. You can see here we can see bin folder. All the binaries are there. Lib folder, libraries, share folder. So when you go to bin, what are there? These all are utilities. PGCTL to start and stop the services. We are using PGCTL. initdb to create a new cluster. PSQL to connect a database. Like this, these are all the utilities during this training it will cover. Okay. So this is how we can install the Postgres. We install only Postgres binaries only. Okay. Now we have to create a cluster. Next step. To create cluster, what we require? We need one user, one location. So how to can say? Just follow this document. We verified. So if you want to copy somewhere, yes, you can copy under directory. Yes, we done. So till this we done. Configure, make install. So next need Postgres user and set the password. How to add the user? Just a user add command username. Which user we are using? Postgres. You can use any user. Yes, I added already existing. Let me set the password. Password Postgres. I can give same thing. I set the password. Done. Next step. So we need a location to keep data files and the configuration file. So we have to create the data directory, then change the ownership. Which user here we used Postgres. So the data directory should be owned by Postgres user and group also Postgres. If you use Postgres 1, here Postgres 1 username, the group name also same. Because when you create a user, for this user group also assigned with the same name. That's why here group name also same username. Okay. So let me create a data directory, change the ownership and change the modifications, permissions. Yes. Now let's go to this location. Nothing is there. Just empty data directory. Who is the owner of this directory? ls minus ld. It should be Postgres because we are going to create a cluster after switching to Postgres user. With Postgres user going to writing all the files inside this directory. If this directory owned by Postgres user, they can write. If this Postgres owned by root user, with the Postgres user cannot write. It throws the error. So make sure this directory should be owned by Postgres user. Postgres user group is Postgres. Now I have to switch to Postgres. How to switch? Now I switch from root to Postgres user. Now can say ID. Which user I am? I am with Postgres user, not root user. If you root user, the hash is there. I am root user. I am Postgres user. So symbol changed dollar. So if you want to know which username you connected, you can give ID or who am I. There are multiple ways are there. Currently, I am with the Postgres user. If you want to know what is the Postgres user, what is the group name, you can use ID. This is the user ID, username, group ID, group name. Clear? Now I switch to root to Postgres user. Now can say, yes, the same thing. So sc-Postgres. Now I can create a cluster. What is the utility we can use? initdb. What is the initdb full path? Where it was located under bin. So we can use full path of initdb -d data directory location. Which data directory you created? Yes, going to create the cluster. Yes, success. The creation of cluster is done. Means while creation of cluster, it's created all the data files and the configuration files inside this location. Now you can now start the database server using the command also. It's provided. To start the start and stop service, what is the utility you can use? PGCTL. Which data directory services you want to start? Keep data directory start. Let's start. You can say server started. So now creation of cluster is done. I started the cluster data directory services. Now I can verify ps minus efa grep postgres. Yes. So by seeing this output, there is a one cluster is running. What is the cluster data directory? This data directory. What is the Postgres home location? This is the home location. These all are background process. For every cluster, for every instance, these many background process are started automatically. If you created another cluster, yes, We can say another set of background process, the same kind of background process. For each and every cluster, the data directory should be unique. Port also should be unique. Clear any queries? Yes.
Yeah, if you want to create another cluster,
Mhm.
the path should be U01 and data file is data
This
15 19
directory should
something.
be different. We cannot use same directory under this location. This should
So
be
U01
different.
is common, correct?
Yeah, yes, that is the parent directory, right? Inside user one, this we cannot use this same path. Okay,
Okay.
suppose data 15 underscore 1 or data 14 like
So
this.
I want to in create a cluster is data 15 only, another 15. Will it is possible or do we need to use a different version?
Let me go to user. I am in the user one location. Okay.
Okay.
So here, as of now, this directory is there. So this is the directory I used for this cluster. Now you want to in the same place, you want to use another cluster, same directory.
Yeah.
That is your question, correct?
Same directory is not possible, but with a
Okay.
different name, correct?
Yes,
Data.
we can create another cluster. No need to install Postgres. The installation of Postgres is one time. Creation of cluster you can do n number of clusters. Whenever you want to create a new cluster, that time you can use initdb utility. That time you can use separate directory for
Okay.
each cluster. If you want to create 10 clusters, data 15, data 15 1, data 15 2, data 15, like this separate directory it's looking. The directory should be empty. Whatever the directory created before initdb command, before initdb command, so it's going to verify is there any files inside this location. It should not be any files. It should be empty. Then only it's create the cluster. Means we required one empty directory, different data directory. This data 15 already used. We need other directory that should be empty. That should be owned by Postgres user. Clear?
Okay, okay. Yeah, after installation of this thing, we need to create a directory. Based on the directory, when you run initdb, it will be create all
Data files and the
mandatory
context
UT.
inside this location. Let me go to
Okay.
data 15. Can see these all before we say nothing is there. These all are some configuration files are there, some data files are there. We'll discuss in one class in coming classes what is this each and every folder where the data files are located. What is the main parameter file? Everything we'll discuss each and every folder and file. This is about inside data directory files under data files under configuration files. When you create the cluster, that time it's created all the things inside this location.
Okay. Mm.
Okay. Any other queries?
Yes, Venkat.
Go ahead.
I'm new to DBA and coming to in the instance part. So
Mhm.
how can we understand this instance is look like a server or else instance is a different? So if it is instance is different, then why in real time people are installing multiple instances? It means n number of instances. If they are
Okay.
create one instance and they are creating a multiple servers and this kind of behavior, why this is happening?
Okay, sure. I will let me explain.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Suppose, okay, so this is my first instance. Inside the first instance, what suppose we are assuming here there are HRMS database are there and CRMS database are there. There are two database are there. So let me there are two database are there in this. HRMS are there, HRMS are there, CRMS are there. Suppose HRMS database they can use a HRMS application, CRMS database they use a CRMS application. So the HRMS database they need downtime. They need downtime due to some activity. But CRMS database they won't allow downtime. This is a critical application. They don't allow. If you want to down the one database, there is no specific service
Option.
to down one database.
Okay.
So you have to down entire cluster services. You have to down. If you down this entire cluster services for all the database, whatever the database are there, everything will be down state. We cannot access. So that's why based on the requirement, they can keep few database inside one cluster or specific database they can keep specific cluster based on requirement.
Okay. So as you mean that in the cluster there will be a databases only. It's not a server. I
It's
mean
not
multiple
server,
server.
it's a kind, it's contains databases. It's
Okay, it contains
instance
databases. Okay.
contains databases.
Got
Cluster
it.
or instance both are same. It
Mhm,
contains combination of databases. By default, three database created itself.
mhm,
When you create the init DB, when you
mhm,
fire the init DB. So if you want to create your own database, first you have to connect this instance.
mm.
When you connect with this instance should be up and running. Then only you can connect. If you connect this instance, out of three database, we connect a default Postgres DB. Then you can
Yes.
create your own DB.
Okay.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, Venkat, so in that case, there is no option to make the database offline individually, as you said?
No, there is no. There is okay. We don't have any option to down the DB. We can lock the database.
Okay.
Lock the
Okay,
DB
so
different. Down the DB is different. Yeah.
okay, so down the okay, offline we can't do. Like whole instance we
No.
need to make it down.
No. Yes. If you want to any DB down time, so we have to make a whole instances down.
We can say post in terms of Postgres, we can say the instance or the cluster, the same thing.
Yeah, yes. Instance is like
Okay.
cluster. Oracle
Okay.
cluster is different. Few any Oracle guys are there, they bit a little bit confused few days. So forget about Oracle rack. There it's a combination of servers. You can create a cluster if you have more than one server, then only you can create the cluster. Here within the server, within the one node, we can create n number of clusters. Cluster is means it's a combination of databases, not a
User
combination of
databases.
servers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
clear.
Imran, here cluster means, okay, for my understanding, that is a in SQL Server instance.
Mm.
Yeah, right, the same
Okay,
thing.
Correct.
so yeah, in the instance of in SQL, okay, master MSDB model,
Mhm.
like that here, PostgreSQL
Correct.
and template
Template one,
one
Zero
template
zero.
two.
time one.
So
Yes. Yes.
PostgreSQL is like a master,
Mm.
and template one
Mhm.
and template zero is a model
Model.
DB. When you create
Yes.
a new
Yeah.
database, it will be created from the model DB. Like a,
Exactly.
if you want to create new database, it will be created from the template zero.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
correct. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is
Thanks.
that is the differences here. Okay, for the
Yeah.
Yes.
SQL and
Yeah.
here.
Postgres. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks for
Makes
it.
sense, Srinivas. Mhm.
yeah. Well, Venkat, other thing. Okay, so generally, okay, we are installing the PostgreSQL is very smooth. Okay, good.
Mhm.
Generally, in your experience, okay, what are the major errors got, okay, while doing the installation?
We'll see. Once we complete all the four types of installation, then we have to complete the customize and installation part. Then you can understand.
Okay, okay,
We didn't complete, right? We have to go through the default installation part, four methods. Then we'll see how to customize each and every installation part. Then we have
okay,
to do uninstallation part. During this, after this, all finish all kind of customization part and default installation part. Then we'll discuss. That is a good time. I hope you
well,
understand.
yeah,
Because we
okay,
complete only one method. Second method we are discussing.
okay, got it.
Yeah,
And other
definitely
thing,
we'll discuss.
in general, in real time,
Hmm.
so which method we are using means,
Yeah. Definitely we'll discuss. Yeah.
okay, okay, well,
Okay. So we'll okay.
Hey,
If you
Venkat.
finish, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Is there again? I think I've asked you this question on our one-on-one chat. Is there a group where we are all supposed to belong to so that we can see all of this information, or how do you send videos? I've not been able to do any of this class that you've held in the last 2 days or something because I don't have any videos. I don't have anything to follow, and I'm pretty new to Postgres and IT.
So you joined today?
Yes, I'm here now. Like I joined because I'm talking to you now. Yesterday too, but I haven't had the video for yesterday. And how
Okay.
do we get the videos?
Yeah. So just ping me. Do you have my number?
Yes, I do. I'll ping you then.
Just ping me. Okay, this is my contact number. Okay, just I will today. Okay, already I created yesterday WhatsApp group. I will add you into that common group. There we will share these recordings and material. And tomorrow onwards, we'll continue this training over finalize this batch. This is 93986324222. So this is my contact number. You can ping me. Okay, so there you will get we'll add you into WhatsApp group, common WhatsApp group. So that you will get all the things, and tomorrow onwards we'll continue with whoever finalize this batch.
Okay, thank you. I'll ping you on that one.
I have a question for you.
Yeah,
So please go back to that diagram.
diagram. Yes.
So let's say you make mention of, let's say, ERM database and CRMS database.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say the CRMS database is critical application that cannot be shut down, right?
Okay.
And they need to do a maintenance
Okay.
on that instance,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't want the database SRMS to be done. They only want to do maintenance on the second database.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible for them to create another instance, which is cluster, and migrate that single database to
Yes.
that?
Yes, we can do that. That will cover in the backup and recovery part. Yes, we can do. Correct.
Okay.
You can do that. That will cover in the backup and recovery topic. Yes, absolutely. Make sense?
Mhm.
Clear, right? Okay. Anytime we can migrate what are the database from one instance to other instance. We can do that. That take the database backup and restore into here. Restore here. Yes, we can do that. Okay. So okay, so this is how. So this is the command you can verify ps minus efa grep postgres. Then just a PSQL. So when you give PSQL, it says no such file or directory. That means we have to give the full path of PSQL because okay, so till when we configure environment variables, that time we have to use full path of PSQL. PSQL is the command utility which we can use to connect the database in command line mode. Now I connect a Postgres database /L. L is the meta command. It gives the list of databases. There are 3 databases are there. Postgres template 0, template 1. So if you want to create your own database, yes, you can create. Create database HRMS. Yes. So can say, so create database CRMS. Yes, you can do that. Now can say /L. 5 databases are there. If you want to take this database backup and restore into some other instance, we can do that. That will cover in the database backup part. So how to exit /tip? Okay, exit root. So when you log into every time, so with root user, this is local system. You have to switch to Postgres user to connect Postgres database because we created the instance with this user. So you have to switch to this user. So which user I am in? I am with the Postgres user. Then first you have to verify when you start your server in local system. First you have to verify the database service are running or not. Yes, good, verify running. Then you can give PSQL. Sometimes it connect, sometimes it won't. So you have to give the full path of PSQL where it is located PSQL under bin location. Under bin, there is a home location, then bin PSQL. I connected. So do whatever you want.
Excuse me, quick question. So in a real-time scenario, let's say
Mhm.
you are at your work now. Are you going to be using Postgres user, or there will be a super user they will give to you, or you must
Yeah.
sudo to Postgres user
It
first?
will cover in the customized installation part. Let's I think tomorrow or day after tomorrow we'll discuss. We'll install the cluster with a separate user. We'll do that. Today we are discussing about default installation part. Once we done in default installation part, then we'll go through the how to customize. Suppose I want to use separate user. I want to separate installation location. I want to use my own data directory, own user, own customized location. Yeah, we will do that. Okay. I will show you. Don't worry. Next class. Coming classes we'll discuss. Okay, so that's it. Source code method. If you have any queries, let me know.